Hello and welcome to Darryl Company. I'm Darryl Fess, President and CEO of Brookline Bank. Today my guest is Dave Madan. Dave is a partner in Boston Investments, a local real estate investment firm. He is also founder and chairman of the Builders of Color Coalition. David is a graduate of the University of California, Berkeley, holding a degree in business administration. David also is a Bostonian. He lives in Cambridge. I grew up in Somerville, so I consider us all Bostonians. David.
Thank you so much for having me, Darryl. I appreciate the invitation.
So you've been active in the Boston real estate market. What attracted you to investments in that arena?
I'd say it's a combination of factors. To be honest, it was in part because my siblings just twisted my arm until I joined the business with them about a decade ago. But it's in our DNA, it's in our blood. I've always been fascinated and appreciate kind of built form, and both in terms of the power we have to shape it. It's kind of the Winston Churchill quote, we shape our buildings and thereafter they shape us. And so I've always been excited by built form and urban planning and kind of what that all means. And so about 11 years ago, I decided to actually take the plunge and get involved full time in real estate. And it's, I think it's an exciting field to be in. So there's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of expanding opportunity, I think, for folks to be in the field. So,
what types of properties have you invested in?
We focus on residential real estate. So I do a combination of new construction and also buying existing, housing that can then be renovated or whatnot. And then, we have a rental portfolio. So we manage our units across kind of Cambridge, Somerville, Medford. And then every once in a while, we will also, I like new construction, so I'll take on a small scale project. But it's all small scale residential kind of scattered throughout the city.
Good. Sounds like you have a passion for what you do there. So that's great. So Dave, as a founder of the Builders of Color Coalition, why is it important that this organization exists today?
Yeah, so the Builders of Color Coalition, we work to expand access and diversity in the field of real estate. And I started the organization about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago at this point. I was going to various networking events, NAIOP, ULI, REFA, et cetera. And I was in these rooms and these spaces, and there would be incredible knowledge and incredible speakers and incredible access to ways to get ahead in the industry and to kind of get the resources to do that. And there would be one other person of color in the room. And, we are in a really unequal city. We have incredible segregation, but I think a lot of that is a result of just simply the networks that we've created and reinforced over time. And so I asked those organizations, what can we do to change the dynamics here? How can we get more people into these spaces? And all of them were really receptive, ended up sort of meeting folks. That one other person of color along the way, I'd meet them, and we basically came together and we decided to start this organization. We ended up becoming the umbrella for our predecessor organization, the Minority Developers Association and African American Real Estate Professionals. And at this point, we have more than 700 folks of color who are in real estate in our network. And we've built a lot of strong relationships and partners. And at the end of the day, as I said, I think there's a lot of growing opportunity in the field. And land on development is a key source of access to power and wealth in our society. And so I see it as a key way to break down the barriers and help sort of bring greater social justice and equality in our society by encouraging folks to be able to make money, through the opportunities that exist.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense to me. I know that one of the most important ways to be successful is by networking and connecting with people who can help you to get things done. And it's often difficult to be able to do that. So I applaud you for pushing that effort, because it really will help a lot of people to make the right connections, get some development projects under their belt that are involved with them, and have an opportunity to succeed in the industry. So congratulations on that. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. And we appreciate the bank's partnership in that work, and we're looking forward to all the growth and the opportunity to come.
Yeah, we'll do more together on that. So what do you think the biggest challenge to that organization is today?
The biggest challenge, I think the biggest challenge is kind of the core premise, which is that, it's the connection points to the opportunities. And so, we figure out, how we're going to sort of create the frameworks for people to be able to participate in them. And frankly, one of the core ways to do that is just simply by creating the community of people of color that folks can kind of see as their home base in the industry and as the means by which to access these other opportunities and these other organizations. It's scary to be the first person in the room often in a space or in a setting. And, I will say, like, we had to do a lot of pivoting, of course, as everybody did when COVID hit and the online events. And, for a networking organization, that seems like a potentially kind of a deal breaker to have to sort of switch to a Zoom format. But if anything, I've actually found that it actually enhanced and increased the impact of our events and the opportunities to network, because instead of showing up in a room and being sort of intimidated because there's, the people that you want to speak with are over there talking with those 8 other people, and you have to get in that circle and then kind of work up the nerve to talk to them, especially, if you're a person of color, if you're a woman, if you're not coming from the same background and you don't have all the same resources and immediate connections in that space. And so when we do it online, we're able to randomize the rooms, we're able to put people together, we're able to actually put people face to face who wouldn't meet. And I would say for every single one of the events we had last year that was done online, across the board, folks that were telling me, oh, I met so-and-so, I had a follow-up like Zoom session with so-and-so. Everyone across the board said they made strong connections coming out of our events. And so in that way, I think actually this pivot and this moment has actually helped us address some of those challenges of breaking into the field and building further connections.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome organization. I've been to one of your online events, and it was great. I got a chance to talk to people that randomly that I didn't expect. So it was really awesome. So we know that's not your whole life. Want to tell me about some sort of a charitable organization that you really care about?
Sure. Well, I guess in addition to leading the Builders of Color Coalition, and we're going to be hiring a director for that organization. So hopefully that's not for much longer, but I'll still be very involved. I also lead an organization called the Boston Farms Community Land Trust. And so we focus on building and protecting urban farms across the city of Boston, in the urban neighborhoods of Boston, and we make that land and those farms accessible to neighborhood Black and brown farmers to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are created in our sort of growing awareness and excitement about food and bringing food and food production more local. So that's been a pretty exciting growth process. We're hiring an executive director for that one as well, so that hopefully I could shift back to maybe doing some of the real estate work. But, I think in all of these endeavors, the goal is really, how do we take this key source of wealth and power and opportunity in our society, land and access to land and development, and how do we broaden the access points to it? And so I really appreciate that, Boston Farms is doing that by sort of creating a framework for communities to say, hey, here's what we'd like to see in our neighborhood, and be able to access land and make that happen.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome cause and a good thing to be doing. Dave, you're I think one of the up and comers in the Boston real estate world. So I'm really happy that you joined us today on Darryl Company.
Much appreciated. I appreciate you having me on for this interview. Thank you.
Great. And thanks to everyone out there for watching Darryl Company.